Welcome back to the Manager Matt podcast show. I do hope you are well. This is part 2 of my mini-series on how to be the best. Last week is on how to be the best team leader. This week is how to be the best shift manager. And the week after is how to be the best site leader. If you haven't already, which I'm sure you have a chance to listen to part 1, please flick back one and have a listen. If not, if you have skipped forward purposefully or just found us, that's perfect. No problem at all. You are all welcome in the house of Manager Matt. So welcome to part 2. As I said, this is going to be a series of 3, and this one is around how to be the best shift manager. Now, what do I mean by shift manager? What's the difference between a shift manager and a team leader? Well, I'm going to explore that in a minute. What are the key roles of a shift manager? What's that day-to-day cadence that they should do? How do you add value to the company? It's going to be a common theme of these 3, that each of the roles, even though they are separate, how do they add value? Because that's what we are there to do. And how do you build a team as a shift manager, especially if you've got shifts which change and you're not seeing the same people? And how do you position yourself for that big step, the next level up? So let's start with part 1. Always a good start to start at the beginning, as they say. Shift managers versus team leaders. No, let's be clear here straight away. People are going to be confused, I suppose, a little bit around this terminology. When you're thinking of team leader, yes, it's around maybe leading a small amount of people in a team. Shift managers, it could be broader than just shift manager. It could be the manager of the department, if you like. But they're smaller, they're not the site, they're not the whole thing, but they're not as little as a team leader. Now, a team leader is responsible for that small group of people, maybe a line, a department, and they're focused on delivering their area results. They're supporting their team. They are, feeding information into the next level, which is the shift manager. Now, a shift manager, on the other hand, is running the whole show of that shift. That means they might have multiple teams, may have multiple lines running, could be coordinated across departments more, and they usually are because they're going to be the one to go through. They're there at funny times. If you've got a 24/7 operation, you can have shift managers on that site or in that area who are going to be the highest member of that team, especially at the middle of the night on a Sunday. They are going to be the people who have to make decisions. So you're going to need to support them if you are the next level up. And you're the one who makes sure production, quality, health and safety, people management, that's where shift managers are. They all come together and they pull through you. Especially in an operations lead, you are going to be seen as the senior lead. Yes, you're going to have technical, warehouse, procurement, engineering, all those people, but the operational shift managers are the ones that are usually the lead. Think of it this way, Ryan. If you think of a team leader as a sergeant, right in the trenches with their squad, then the shift manager, you're the lieutenant. You're making sure the whole platoon is in the right place and the right time, and you're doing things in the background to make sure the supplies are there. And yes, sometimes you feel like you might be herding cats, but that's the nature of leading people. There's nothing as queer as folk, as I reckon. Now, what is the role of you then as a shift manager? What's the role of shift manager? It isn't just about being the most experienced person on the site, although you will be at some point, the person who is a go-to, but it's about delivering the shift's safety and making sure it's efficient at what it does. So you're making sure the output, the quality, the targets are hit. That's going to be your focus, and that's what you're going to be measured against. You are going to coordinate people and resources. You may have to work across from an agency point of view, from a staffing to raw materials. You're the one who pulls it all together. Your team leaders are doing the lines and the exact ones. You're doing the whole kit and caboodle. And that means sometimes you have to make the third point on this list, decision maker. Team leaders will be looking after their bits, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to stay calm and assess across the whole. And that means sometimes you have to make those calls. You have to make the calls to sometimes stop something, sometimes start something, sometimes make a deliberate call that means you might disappoint a customer because the other customer are more important. The last one on this little list is about communicating up and down. You're the eyes and ears of the business outside the office hours, as I've mentioned. You are translating that strategy to the team, and you need to escalate to the senior manager at the right time. Bit like the team leader, you don't escalate every 2 minutes. You don't go, I need to tell someone straight away. No, you have to wait till the right time, but you have to make sure you do escalate to the senior manager the important stuff. And that means don't ring them up on a Sunday afternoon just to tell them that the kettle's broken in the canteen. Think about how you're going to do that, because you are the senior man on site and you're going to make that thing work. So part of this job is how to add value to the company. I've mentioned that a few times. How are you adding value? Well, you need to start by setting yourself apart from others. You need to make sure that you are, as a good team leader would be, reliable. Is your shift consistently delivering the safety, quality and output? Are you really stabilising the business to deliver results? And of course, remember, that doesn't mean you're cutting the nose off or the whatever off of the next shift to make sure your shift looks better. You've got to make sure that you are reliable and make sure your shift hits targets. You've also got to solve problems. We're all there to solve problems. No matter where you are in the business, you are going to be solving problems. So, making sure that you're not just patching up issues, passing it on to the next shift. If there's a problem, you need to get to root cause. You need to work to prevent it and save money. You are going to be the problem solver that pulls in the engineers, the warehouse people, the raw material people, whatever that might be, to make sure that you get those things done. Reliability is one thing. You need to be efficient. You've got to look at savings, whether that's time wasted, material wasted, labour. Sure, you can run that shift as lean as you can, as if it's your money. Think of it that way. If it were your money, how would you do it? You've got to support the strategy. You're a little bit higher up than a team leader, so you are going to be expected to be the face. So you are going to be more them than us, if you like that one. The senior managers, they got the long-term goals, and you need to make sure that you are the link to your shift that delivers the day-to-day of that big picture. And of course, as ever, you need to be the calm one. In a crisis, you're going to be the person keeps the heads. Make sure you're adding the value just by looking confident, but also make sure you are confident in the processes and the way that the business works. So when something does go wrong, and it will, you are the calm one that fixes it. Shift managers, as I mentioned, sometimes have a fixed shift, sometimes move around shifts, but you still need to build a team whatever you are doing as a shift manager. Now, you can't do this alone. You've got to build that team with your team leaders and the operators, of course, but you need to know each one of those strengths and weaknesses. So have your conversations with the team leaders around the team and themselves of how they are delivering. You need to make sure you clarify the roles. The team leaders may know exactly what they've got to do. So don't blur the lines. Make sure you give them accountability. Make sure they know exactly what they've got to do. Trust and support. Back your team as a leader. The biggest thing you can do as any leadership position is back your team. Make sure you are making sure that they know what they're doing, but you're also at the front saying, I've got your back. Feedback, making sure you're recognising good performance when you spot it. You've got to construct feedback in a quick way, but also make sure that you're doing it consistently so you don't get favouritisms. Development, look at how you train those leaders, the next set, what are they going to be? Look for the team leaders around you. Who's going to step into your shoes when you're not there? If you have to go for an important off-site meeting, who's your deputy? Probably from the team leader community around you who can step up and do the job when you're not there. It's well worth looking at that development plan for them. Visibility. Number of shift managers I know, and I think I might have fallen in that trap of disappearing to an office, has too many calls, doesn't really get on the shop floor enough. Be out there on the shop floor, no hiding in your office. Get people's respect as a leader by being present and approachable. Make sure you do that. Now, as I said on the show one, you're also looking for the next step. So where are you going to go next? You've been a great shift manager, but you've got an iron promotion. How do you do it? How do you get to that next level? That could be an operation management, a production management, or even the site manager. How do you get there? What's your next thing you do? Well, as with others, you need to be consistently doing what you say you're going to do. You don't just promote people for one good week in the chaos that follows. You've got to be consistent. You've got to think long term. You're not just running that shift. You're looking at how you can contribute to the whole site. Bring ideas. Always be enthusiastic, not just in your own area, but outside your area. That can be difficult because, as I said earlier, you've got to have your team's back, but you cannot close your eyes to others and mistakes that you and your team may make. So don't become blinded by it. Think long term. Look outside your box. Get ideas. Not in a sniper way, not saying that lot are doing it wrong, but in a way of genuinely wanting to grow them. And then you develop people. So you've developed a good team leader, then they can step into your shoes. That's a huge tick in your box for the next level for you. It's hard sometimes when you do become a shift manager not to just focus on what you're doing and delivering in the day. And it's really easy to step down into almost being a team leader in that regard. So you need to make sure you're commercially aware. Start talking about cost savings, efficiency, customer requirements. Just because, not just hitting your numbers, but because that shows you've got awareness and outside the norm that will help you get that promotion. And of course, be visible to the senior leaders. That doesn't mean you have to brag or suck up to them, but just make sure that you're around, they know you're there, that you're looking at how you can go to the next one. You're the guy they want to go to. They're the guy and girl who is ready for the next step. So look at that when you're looking at the eye of promotion. So what does it mean to be a shift manager? I've been a shift manager and I loved it. I thought it was great. You've got to build and coordinate and deliver across that whole shift. Best shift managers add value by solving problems, running an efficient operation, and supporting their business strategies. They build strong teams by being clear, supportive, visible, and developing them. And of course, if you want that promotion from your current role, you've got to be good at what you do, but you've also got to have one eye on the bigger picture. Well, thanks for listening to part 2. I hope you're enjoying this. Remember to send us any feedback or put any comments if you can. Part 3 is around being the site manager or operational lead. So until next week, thank you for listening and goodbye.